Distinguished guests, a very good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining us here today for Unlocking Capital for Sustainability, Transforming Asia, Mobilizing Finance at Speed and Scale. My name is Ping Manongdo. I'm the Country Director for Eco-Business in the Philippines, and it is my pleasure to be hosting you this morning in person and virtually. Unlocking Capital for Sustainability is Eco-Business's flagship sustainable finance and business event hosted in partnership with the United Nations Environment Programme Finance Initiative and a wide variety of partners across Asia. Now in its 7th year, it is the region's premier event that brings together high-level decision makers in finance, business, government, and civic society to discuss and identify actionable initiatives that mobilize the capital markets for sustainable development. As the region's leading independent media and business intelligence company dedicated to sustainable development and ESG performance, I am pleased, on behalf of Eco-Business, to be welcoming all of you today. Before we kick off today's proceedings, I'd like to acknowledge all our partners, UNEP Finance Initiative for their partnership over the years and being the pioneering force catalyzing action across the financial system to align economies and sustainable development. Our strategic partners, BDO Unibank, LRQA, OCBC Bank, RGE, and UOB. Our Tech for Good partner, AWS. Our breakfast briefing partner, Fair Finance Asia, and to our knowledge and outreach partners. I'd also like to thank all of you, our guests and speakers who have joined us for this critical conversation. There will be plenty of interactive Q&As throughout the session, so do join the conversation. You can find a Slido QR code at the back of your delegate badge to submit your thoughts and questions anytime. You can also access the full program and Slido questions through the Give Me app. Let's make this as lively a discussion as possible so we can all come away with fresh ideas and renewed motivations. Our hashtags for the event are hashtag Unlocking Capital for Sustainability, hashtag UCFSSG. So if you're on social media, do tag Eco-Business, UNEP FI, and our partners. We're now excited to officially launch our forum with a video especially prepared for you. So please sit back and enjoy.
Leaders must lead. No more hesitancy, no more excuses, no more waiting for the others to move first. There is simply no more time for them.
I hope you have enjoyed that video and now feel sufficiently prepared to engage on the most pressing challenges and issues of our time. Without further ado, I now would like to invite EcoBusiness founder and managing director, Jessica Cham, for her welcome remarks. Jess.
Thank you very much, Ping. Mr. Ravi Menon, Singapore's Ambassador for Climate Action and Senior Advisor, National Climate Change Secretariat, Prime Minister's Office. Professor Kishore Mahbubani, Distinguished Fellow, Asia Research Institute, National University of Singapore. Mr. Mark Greaves, Chairman, ComfortDelGro Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and partners, it is my privilege to address you today at the Singapore edition of Unlocking Capital for Sustainability. This is our annual flagship forum on sustainable finance and business for Asia Pacific, hosted in partnership with UNEP-FI, which brings together high-level decision makers to discuss actionable initiatives that mobilize the capital markets for sustainable development. Our Thought Leadership Forum is in its 7th edition. This year, we kicked off in Jakarta in June, then in Kuala Lumpur in July, and last month in Manila, bringing together hundreds of delegates. I remember we started as a very small forum back in 2018 when sustainable finance was just emerging in the region and no one really actually knew what we were talking about. But today, it's been a huge advancement for sustainable finance and for sustainable development in general, and it's really hugely encouraging to see all of you here. This forum grows bigger in every year in each country, reflecting the momentum we're gaining in this region on sustainable development. We've onboarded many like-minded partners along the way, and I thank you all for your partnership. I'm sure many of you who are practitioners in this field or work in some way on sustainable development issues would agree that there's been a plethora of sustainability-related events in recent years, not just here in Singapore, but across the world. It is encouraging to see this growing momentum and the rise in action, in awareness and advocacy. But we are running out of time, and it is action that we need. We are proud that this forum is differentiated from the rest in that we are laser-focused on precisely that, action. And we're not afraid to go deep and technical, so I think you'll find that today's sessions would be quite geeky, I would say, but I love geeking out on these issues. We curate our discussions and activities with measurable, impactful outcomes in mind, and as an independent news platform as well, we focus a sharp journalistic lens on the issues that we debate. The result is that through our regional forums, we spotlight the key mechanisms that will unlock capital for Asia's transition, outline the frameworks needed to make finance an effective tool for hard-to-abate sectors, and to chart a path for accelerating an equitable net zero transition. To this end, we take a lot of effort and time to produce insights reports from our forums that helps to guide decision makers in policy and business well beyond the day of the forum. You can find our 2023 report on our website. Please do have a look. We will be publishing our 2024 report at year-end when all our regional forums conclude. Through this platform, we also keep organizations and decision makers accountable to raise the level of discourse, to exchange best practices, so that we can truly take collective action to achieve the shared goals that we have. Asia as a continent has long been blessed with rich natural resources, diverse ecosystems, and a vibrant cultural heritage. However, all these blessings also come with great responsibilities. We are the single biggest emitter of greenhouse gases, home to the richest biodiversity on this planet, and the most vulnerable to climate change. We have made great strides in setting ambitious targets, raising regulatory standards, and spurring investments into the region's burgeoning green economy. But despite this, no single country here is on track to meet our SDG targets. At the current pace, says the UN, it will take another 32 years for the region to achieve the 2030 agenda. Meanwhile, the world is beset with 2 wars, high geopolitical tensions, cost of living crisis, rising inequalities, and many large powers going through national elections and political transitions. There are simply too many competing priorities. Yet climate change is accelerating as we speak. It is the single biggest silent force shaping our future, determining our food and water security, driving scarcity, conflict, displacement, and it intersects with every single economic, political, and social issue that we face today. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said, we have entered an unprecedented era of global boiling. We're hurtling towards nearly 3 degrees rise in global temperatures, which according to UN and scientists around the globe will expose over 3 billion people to dangerous levels of heat and humidity, something that we can all attest to living here in Singapore and Asia. There will be drought, water shortages, disruption to food supply chains, ecosystem collapse, sea level rise, heat waves, displacement, storms, and floods. These events all around the world have become an all too familiar backdrop. So familiar that the danger is now we suffer from climate fatigue, news avoidance, social fragmentation, and apathy. And this is why it's important to have conversations like these, no matter how difficult they may be, so that we might counter apathy with action and fragmentation with progress. This was the subject of a lot of discussion over the last 2 days. We have hosted almost 50 of the region's journalists and editors from across 9 different countries for a flagship program called the Sustainability Media Academy that is hosted by our charity EB Impact. Many of these journalists and editors are here with us today. I thank you for being here at this forum and for your stories on these issues that matter to the region. We also yesterday just hosted a masterclass in advancing financing for nature and biodiversity with our partners UNEP FI to build capacity among businesses in the region on these important topics. One thread that keeps emerging through our thought leadership forums and training sessions around the region is this: there is a $1 trillion gap that we need to bridge. There is the capital, there is some willingness, but we are not unlocking this finance yet. So how do we do that? And how do we continue to keep the issues that matter at the top of not just the news agenda, but policy, business, and wider society? As we go into COP29 in Baku in Azerbaijan at the end of the year, it is billed as the Finance COP. This is an opportunity for all of us to really look at some of the policy mechanisms and financial levers that we can use in this region. At the same time, how can we also work together to face a world that inevitably, because of climate change, we will see more climate volatility, natural disasters, food and water insecurity? As we grapple with these questions, I'm excited to be hearing from all of our distinguished speakers today and to interact with all of you on a wide range of issues, from policy interventions, taxonomies, Singapore's efforts locally and internationally from our guests of honor, on the intersection of geopolitics and climate change from Professor Kishore, to how we can transform Asia by mobilizing finance at speed and scale, the theme of our main conference this year, to the role of the carbon markets in protecting nature and biodiversity, board governance, climate tech, technology, and innovation. I'd like to urge everyone to come and approach these conversations with the spirit of participation and learning so that we might be inspired and motivated by each other to come away with specific actions that we'd like to take into our personal and professional lives. Later today, we're also going to be launching the 2025 edition of our flagship sustainability innovation platform, the Livability Challenge, in partnership with Temasek Foundation. This initiative provides a $2.5 million grant to sustainability startups each year and will be in its 8th edition. Since inception, it has deployed over $10 million in funding to more than 35 startups who have gone on to raise hundreds of millions more while commercializing sustainability tech and innovations that have made measurable social and environmental impact. You'll hear more exciting details later. After today, our forum travels to Thailand in October and Hong Kong in November, so do join us if you are in these countries. In each forum, we always blend and share the insights of one country into another so that we might truly have a regional, international conversation and also foster different meaningful ways to promote international cooperation. And we need that so urgently in these times. I'd like to conclude by thanking all of you once again for your presence here and choosing to spend a day with us in these important conversations. I'm heartened that this community is ever growing and ever thriving, driven by a collective understanding that our future depends on the careful stewardship of our environment, economy, and social fabric. I look forward to further conversations with all of you and to a day of forging meaningful partnerships. Thank you.